Roboteers, stand by.
We're a football podcast.
We're a football
Oh,
podcast.
no, I'm out.
Michael Owen, he's a good footballer, isn't he?
I don't know.
Fake off.
David Beckham.
I'm Sir
know- now
Killalot.
that one
This
I
is
know.
Fantasy Football League. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
great, yeah.
Go me.
Good old Ian Mahimovic.
How many people have taken back?
9.
2, 1, activate.
And welcome.
Nice to see you here.
Oh, and welcome.
And
White
welcome.
House.
Anyway, should we get started?
Yes.
Yes.
Let's talk about some robot fights.
Yeah, let's talk about some Robot Wars. Episode 6 of the podcast that we're doing. And who are we? I am Jimmy. I've been here every podcast. Adam's back again!
I'm back!
Adam is back again!
They invited me again.
Yeah!
This is Mark.
It's
I'm,
me,
I'm Mark! Yeah, we got Mark
Voice.
back.
Booyakasha.
And also back we have Ben.
Hello.
Hello, Ben.
My handsome face is back.
Your handsome face is back,
In
which
a
we
vlog.
still can't see in our podcast.
I keep telling you, the audience couldn't handle it.
No, we
You
can't.
should put in like just a picture of his face, like a
No,
really...
just
I'll
a picture
draw
of his
it.
beard. It's just the
Just
beard
the
is all it
beard.
needs.
That is the most important part of my face.
And of
So-
course, we have Cat back as well.
Hello.
Yes. We've all watched Robot Wars, the final heat fight, the penultimate episode before the grand final, and I quite like this last heat. Some of us didn't, and we were Ben.
But more important, Kat, what are you crocheting today?
Well, I am today crocheting a heart blanket.
Ooh, nice.
And I'm using cotton and bamboo, which
Ooh,
is
lovely.
really silky.
I've always wanted a blanket for my heart.
We'll wrap it in.
Because it's so cold. Because I didn't like this episode of Robot Wars.
Hey, wait to bring it back.
Controversial here, Ben. But yes, we will tell you why we thought it was controversial and why it was not as well received. I thought it was alright. Don't know what you guys thought.
I see where Ben's coming from, but I still like
You see
it.
both
Yeah, I still liked
both
it. I thought it was
sides.
I still was the worst one, but then again, considering how good the other ones were, it's
Well,
not a really
yeah,
bad,
I
the
mean,
worst one, to be honest.
It couldn't be as worse as that really
It was the
boring one.
worst one purely
that was only
because
one fight,
Matilda
though.
didn't appear.
Okay,
that is
we'll,
true,
we'll,
yeah.
we'll get that out of the way. Matilda did not appear in this episode, and we're
Dun,
once-
It might have been because of what happened with
And
her
I
and
am very
Apollo.
upset by
Maybe.
this.
Maybe
Maybe,
they were
yeah.
trying to fix it because what happened with Apollo.
maybe Apollo did too much damage when he flipped Matilda
Yeah.
over.
I
and-
hope Matilda kills.
So, first four robots to fight were Pulsar, Chompalot, Ironside 3, and Thermidor 2. We got introduced to Pulsar first, a very small, very wedgy drum spinner.
I was very excited to see this guy.
I was excited to see
Like-
Pulsar. I'd heard a lot of good things about it.
The death hum.
Yeah.
After last week, actually, Jimmy introduced me to BattleBots, the American Robot Wars, for those of you who don't know. And I have binge-watched the entire current season of that in between podcast episodes.
You can kind of see the appeal of drum spinners now.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Drum spinners are a huge thing in BattleBots right now, and they're devastating.
And, well, I said this in the last one, Pulsar has a 9,000 RPM drum spinner. Spins it up to, I think, 220 miles per hour or something like that.
Which
Like,
is
crazy
Yeah.
speeds.
terrifying amounts of kinetic energy.
Is there no limit?
No,
No?
I don't think so. There have been robots that have claimed to have weapons spin up to 11,000 RPM, but whether they wanted to...
The little eyebrow lift there was
Yeah,
all
yeah,
you needed.
They were never seen as when they powered up, they just sort of floated out.
Yeah, they
It's
Yeah.
now a
helicopter
drone.
down. So, yeah, this robot with the drum spinner, Pulsar, very formidable, very inspired by these drum spinners in America. And hopefully I thought it would have been very powerful.
Yeah, it looked like an incredible design going in.
And then we had Chompalot, which looked like a shiny dragon with a crushing claw beak on the front.
Razor-esque.
Oh, kind of
Kind of.
razor-esque. I suppose it's more of a claw rather than a pincher.
Now that you said it, it does remind me of Razor though.
It's very
Does a
much
bit,
of razor,
yeah.
doesn't it? It had the wings as well for self-righting, and you know,
I
very
like how when it
shiny.
bit, the wings folded out.
Yeah,
Nice
they
touch.
folded out very much similar to Razor, but it's a bit more blockier and a bit more underpowered, let's say.
Yeah, I wasn't very impressed by this at all, really.
The passion that
Spoilers.
the two people who built it
Oh,
was admirable.
Yeah.
Considering that she like cried after,
Yeah, that
Yeah.
it shows
Well,
how
yes.
much effort they went into.
Yeah.
into
And it's really
this.
touching as well. That shows how much love and passion they have
Yeah.
these robots as well.
We had Ironside 3, who very Carbide-esque with a 1 meter long bar spinner. And had a little Shremek arm on the back. Ironside also compete in the live tours with Ironside 2, which is a featherweight robot, I
Okay.
believe.
Oh,
Very similar design, just a bit smaller. Another spinning, high-powered spinning blade. That causes quite a bit of damage.
Yeah, like these guys a lot.
And you
Solid
know,
design.
you know, good blocky, bricky robot.
Mm.
Ironside 3. Yeah, apparently that bar spinner weighed a third of the entire weight of the
yeah.
Yeah, I
robot.
remember that.
35 kilos, I believe it was,
35
which is
kilograms.
At least it
crazy.
keeps it weapon heavy.
Yeah, interesting design. Yeah, like I say, another bar spinner. And Thermidor 2, who fought in original Robot Wars.
Yeah, a returning
Yeah.
veteran.
A returning veteran. Thermidor 2 used to be very, quite formidable with very powerful flipper. I can remember in one fight in Robot Wars Extreme, they took out both Behemoth and Stinger in one
Yeah,
fight.
there was
so
like a big, like, crazy flipping frenzy kind
Yeah,
of thing. Like,
I talked about the Flipper
Yeah,
Frenzy
yeah.
last week. They ganged up on Sergeant Bash with
Yeah.
Chaos 2, Firestorm, and Wheeler Big Cheese.
really crazy strong CO2 flipper on those
So-
guys.
But they didn't seem very confident in this when
No,
they were being
they-
interviewed.
They did absolutely nothing, really.
Yeah. Is it because he's an old robot before, or did they
I
not
don't
maybe
know.
change much?
Probably like brought it up to standard, but didn't improve on that. But
Yeah.
I know a lot of there was a lot of talk as well about the conditions being so cold in that warehouse that it was messing with CO2 flippers, so maybe that played a factor.
maybe
But yeah,
Go on the fire bit for 5 minutes, it'll be fine.
warm
them
yeah.
up, yeah.
Anyway, we got into the first fight with these 4 robots, and Chompalot was immediately pushed into shunt, or they lost control and went straight into shunt.
yeah, just got hammered by Shun, got slammed by Ironside's bar spinner, took a whole big plate off of him. Like,
Just there's a punching bag.
Thermidor
nasty.
also tried to get in an attack, but also felt the wrath of Shunt's axe
On
as
his
well.
wheel.
and
On
like
the
Oh, yeah.
wheel, and
That's crazy.
the one thing I saw Thermidor 2 do was attempt to flip. Oh god, I forgot his name. Dragon Razorback thing.
Dragon Razorback, Chompalot.
Chompalot, that's the one.
Chompy.
Chompalot tried to flip him, and Chompalot barely came off the ground.
Yeah.
Like, it was really sad.
A
Like,
bit lackluster, wasn't it?
yeah, it's like this mighty stallion, like, finally coming back to race around the course and then doing a light trot.
Yeah, after that
To the
attack.
glue factory.
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh, dark.
The glue factory in this case being Shunt's
yeah,
axe.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Thermidor 2 kind of came a cropper to Shunt, and that was that. They were kind
They
of knocked
were-
out after that blow.
Yeah.
They didn't really
Yeah.
do much in that
Not
fight.
at all.
Interestingly, Ironside 3 got a good smack on the side of Pulsar.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right in the back.
Right on the
which
back.
is apparently their squishiest point. So
Yeah.
And it dislodged one of their wheels.
Yep.
And they lost
They were
control.
just spinning in
Yep.
circles.
They were spinning in circles. They
Yeah.
just
that
couldn't.
really annoyed me as well, because all the hype of the,
Yeah,
of
I
the,
know,
the
like-
roar of the spinner.
I watched this on Sunday. I was rooting for Pulsar. I saw that happen, and they lost control. I was like devastated. This was bigged up to be a really good robot. With a
I was
drum spinner
so
and
disappointed.
and
Like,
that just one good hit from Ironside 3, and they were toast. They
just gone. Like,
gone.
the sheer force of it, the compact design I really loved. Like, it was clearly tough as nails because it could take hits all day throughout the rest of the tournament, but just this one instance, like,
one
it
hit.
looked like it had
Yeah.
barely any control. Like, apparently they were having major issues with their radio transmission, and yeah, they just looked like a sitting duck with an incredibly powerful weapon, but with no
But
maneuverability.
they weren't going anywhere.
They have
were
no
they?
way to leverage it, so they just sat there took a few
Doing
hits,
donuts.
Yeah,
It
doing
was
donuts.
donuts.
almost got pushed in by Chomp-a-Lot. Like, really disappointing, because I saw these guys and was like, this is it. This is the robot that wins this series. Like, that's what when I first saw these guys, I'm like, that is like
It.
the big weapon that no one else is utilizing. No one else is ready for a major big drum spinner. Like, I don't see any
Yeah.
other robots
I-
in this
Yeah.
field.
After seeing the big drum spinners from BattleBots, thinking this is our chance to show we can do drum spinners as well as America.
Exactly.
And then after that first hit from Ironside, gone.
No,
And
just done. Dunzos.
and that's what disappointed me most, because I was thinking, Pulsar are out. We're not going to see this devastating destruction as what we see
People
from
won't know.
Yeah.
the likes of Minotaur and Yeti from BattleBots. But yeah, so they were knocked out quite soonish,
Yeah, really
leaving
promptly.
leaving Ironside and Chomp-a-Lot to kind of tussle it out. And
Yeah.
Ironside got in another hit on Chomp-a-Lot, ripped off that panel, that side panel,
yeah.
Clean
didn't they?
off.
Clean off. One clean swipe and that side panel had gone. Pulsar was, although spinning around in circles, they also got a few attacks in on Chomp-a-Lot as well.
Yeah.
Well, Pulsar's-
Accidental hits.
Yeah, I suppose they were.
Yeah, they were
accidental.
basically just an arena hazard
Yeah.
at that point.
Yeah. I suppose they were. Well, yeah, like you say, Chomp-a-Lot almost pushed Pulsar down the pit.
Yep.
Then you
Yeah.
could see them like desperately trying to reverse them down, but cease was called, and so
They narrowly
Chomp-a-Lot
escaped being eliminated. but-
Chomp-a-Lot narrowly escaped being eliminated, and Ironside went through
Mhm.
in that
Yeah.
fight. But the big deal breaker is that Chomp-a-Lot had a lot of repairs to do.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, loads of repairs.
Yeah.
Because of
they-
the damage done from Ironside.
Yeah, they won, but they did not come out looking like a winner.
And to me, Ironside, clear out winner of them three
Oh,
robots.
easily.
Oh yeah,
Easily.
so
The
easily
destruction
the
done-
best one for that
The
fight.
destruction done on Chomp-a-Lot, good tactic, because, well, we'll come on to it in a bit,
Mm.
Thank you.
but it was a good tactic to try and get as much damage inflicted on them. Yeah, Thermidor did nothing, and which is kind of
Another really big disappointment.
another
in
big
this heat.
disappointment.
Like, that's the word I'm probably going to keep coming back to.
Big disappointment.
Yeah,
Thank you.
that's the main reason I didn't have as much fun in this episode, is just because I saw such potential in so many different robots, and it's just like, oh,
Oh,
There it goes.
There it goes.
That's
Yeah.
why you didn't like the episode.
bye bye. Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
well,
it's just it was hard to watch, just watching these brilliant machines do not a lot.
yeah.
Yeah.
Do not a lot.
Next four-way fight, we had Crazy Coop 88. 3mm aluminium sheeting.
Yeah,
Not the best looking robot.
nope. It looked very slapdash, and it showed. Like,
I think Dara O'Brien's comment was it was built in someone's shed.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
looked like it was built in someone's shed, and it
well,
was.
a lot
yeah.
of these
right.
robots are built in someone's shed, but they don't all look like they've been
Yeah.
built in a shed quite like this one did.
And they had a spinning weapon.
They
on
had
the-
two spinning weapons, Jimmy.
Oh, they had
One
a
for
vertical
one
and
yeah,
they
they
had
had
that.
a vertical and horizontal.
The cool thing I really
The
liked
reason you didn't remember that, though, is because they didn't really do much.
To be fair, I didn't even
Were
notice
they
until
a
it flipped around.
disappointment again?
Funny you should say that, but yeah.
The funniest thing
Yeah,
I loved
little.
about that robot is when Darabane went to talk to and interview the people with the part of the team, they had on top of their weapon like a random glove. It was like,
Oh yeah, I thought it was like a dishwasher glove. And
Yeah.
like, it was oh, okay. At least it's industrial.
Marigold.
yeah,
It was
But
well-
they had two weapons. It's like,
yeah.
I didn't even
oh,
realise.
no, I didn't
like,
realise.
when they were talking to them, I was like, okay, they're talking with them. They got the glove on. That's their weapon and everything. And it was only until they were in the arena and they got flipped. I was like, oh, there's
Yeah.
another one.
the oven glove wasn't the weapon though.
It would just
They were probably-
You know what?
spam the
I
other
feel
robots.
like they should have stuck with the gloves.
I think they should
I
have
thought as well.
Oh, kudos to them though. Dara O'Brien said, "You've got heart to these." these
You know what?
three men."
They do have heart.
A
Like,
for effort.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
going in there with 3mm aluminium, you've got to be brave or stupid.
Yeah,
It's like,
Yeah.
like a chocolate teapot.
like a chocolate teapot.
Like
Exactly.
an MDF robot. Could you imagine?
Who would enter an MDF robot into Robot
Be
Wars?
insanity.
Overdoser. Yeah, and next robot we got introduced to was Gabriel, a huge white
Oh, bloody
massive
that was huge.
wheeled thwackbot, we call them in
It
the...
was up to their waist.
I know, it was... What was it? It must have
Wheels
been
the size of a washing machine, I believe.
Yeah, that's what
They
you
kept
said.
rolling
tall
around.
when that
Oh,
sword weapon... Well, they had interchangeable weapons, but we mostly saw it with its sword. Like,
Oh, its
cutlass.
second weapon was pointless.
It's ironic because it was a
two
pickaxe.
points actually.
No, 2
Ah.
points. It was a pickaxe. Apparently they had a sledgehammer as well, and but this huge cutlass-style weapon. You like your medieval weapons, don't you, Ben?
I do
Yeah,
love my medieval.
I
trivia.
questioned it, and you were like,
Yeah.
"Well,
Yeah,
you
no,
were on it."
I do love my medieval principles, classic like plate armor battles. Like this is an old school like philosophy. Like you use a blunt, thin weapon, so you can apply a lot of direct force onto your opponents, cause a lot of concussive damage to the innards.
Exactly, and that
Yeah.
was Gabriel's
That was their
plan.
yeah, that was
Yeah.
their game plan.
You know, we said in the last podcast, very similar to Stinger. Stinger was also a thwack bot, 2 wheels and an axe,
yeah,
essentially.
Yeah.
Gabriel was amplified to have massive plastic wheels made out of high-density polyethylene,
yeah,
which
Yeah.
is HDPE, as we call it. As we robot nerds call it, HDPE, which is very resilient, very tough, and it also meant that them huge exposed wheels weren't as exposed as what we
yeah.
thought.
No,
so-
it's a very different case when your exposed wheels are the armor.
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Like,
But
there's exposed wheels, and then there's like
Gabriel.
wheels
Gabriel,
as
yeah.
It
wheels
was
as
impressive.
armor.
Like even if you didn't think it would last very well, it could take so many hits
Yeah,
and
it's
still keep on and be like, yeah, I'm fine.
it's a really durable
Yeah.
material,
Yeah.
and more importantly, it's a really flexible and shock absorbent material.
Exactly.
Whereas Stinger's like favorite move was to spin
Spin.
around on a horizontal axis and use that to build momentum. This was more a vertical.
over the top,
Yeah.
over the
Yeah.
head sort of movement. Next robot was one called Beast. Speaking of
Exposed
questionable
wheels.
armor, exposed
yeah.
wheels,
Oh,
no
it's
armor.
weird.
Yeah, like they had like what looked like a really good frame.
Just
Um,
that was it,
but
though.
It
It
was
was
Yeah.
just a frame.
Yeah.
Interesting thing about Beast, they did enter original Robot Wars with a robot called 8645T, which stylized spelled the name Beast. I believe I have seen Beast fight in the live tour, and again, powerful flipper. They are quite formidable because flippers are all the range in live tours because spinning weapons are banned because the arena can't take that sort of stress. Flippers are
The weapon of
notorious,
choice.
yeah, they're,
Oh,
they're
yeah.
the weapon of choice, and so Beast is quite formidable. In the featherweights as well, there's also the smaller versions called Beauty. There's Beauty 2 and Beauty 8 is the other one. Two
Right.
very similar design robots, still incredibly powerful, and no armour, like just these exoskeleton designs,
Absolutely
and they're
none.
really, really good in these live fights. It was interesting to see how Beast could fight against robots in these
Yeah,
fights.
like I have to say, like I was incredibly skeptical as soon as I saw them because so exposed.
I was
but-
just waiting for one tiny pick in there, or
Exactly.
one spin drive.
But-
Yeah, I was saying with
Done.
you, Adam, because I reckon if it had armor, it would have been a better robot because obviously
Yeah.
flipped is one of the most
But
powerful
it would have
weapons in
been
Robot Wars.
heavier.
It would have
that's the problem.
agile.
Yeah,
But yeah, I've got to say I was very impressed by the maneuverability and the power of the robot. Like
Interior's
the
not
actual
Yeah.
like mechanics of the robot were quite impressive. It's just that questionable design choice of having so much
Yeah.
exposed innards.
But like they took away the armor so they could put all their weight and power into the flipper.
Yeah, it was a tactical choice. I'm just not sure
It
it's
was
a
yeah.
it's a
Yeah.
smart one.
or at least if you want, can't do armor. At least maybe put on like a very light shell that can cover the innards.
Exactly,
Because obviously,
Maybe some 3mm aluminium.
Maybe some 3mm
Yeah.
Like I
aluminium.
said, just collect cans.
Oh,
That's
oh.
what you just put them all over.
That's
it.
even thinner.
At least it's something.
yeah,
And then in my notes we've got infernal contraption, and I've just put pipe
Yeah,
because it's made out of sewage pipe.
yeah. It's a sewage pipe with a spinning drum on it, and that's about it.
That was about it.
Yeah,
which
it
one was
spins.
that? I really can't remember that one.
Yeah, exactly.
There's a reason you
was,
can't
that was the
remember.
one. That was the
Oh,
one
that
you would
one.
stop flipping
It-
backwards and
Oh
forth.
yeah, I
Because
remember
it
it
just
now.
span around and span around.
That was the
and
problem.
Had no control.
Yeah.
It had the same kind basis as Gabriel, where it had to
Yeah,
stop
yeah.
and flip itself back round for the weapon.
Except it had the additional problem of having a spinning
Yeah.
weapon at the front, causing the whole thing to just...
Spin the
Yeah.
other
It's-
way.
Well, if you drive forward on a robot designed like that, the weapon's probably going to spin backwards more
Yeah.
times than what it's going to fire forwards.
Mhm.
And was this the
So-
robot as well that Jonathan Pierce said that's not first time it's ever been in an arena? They
I
didn't
think it
even
was that
test
one.
it
It
either.
wasn't tested.
It
so-
wasn't
Yeah.
weapons test. It wasn't. Oh, what did he say? It was.
It
It
was
did
Something
say
something
wasn't
tested. I can't remember if it was either battle tested or weapons
Battle
tested.
tested.
battle tested.
Yeah.
I remember
So-
that. Yeah.
That's crazy.
So-
You would think you would at least have it like maybe somewhere like that to at least battle test it or at least do something to then see how you're going to do, because you're going on live TV and it's just like, and your robot does that. It's like,
Yeah, so they were just made out of a pipe and they didn't really perform particularly well,
Which is a shame, because they looked really like a solidly
yeah, it
engineered
did
robot.
look solid, but
It's just a really poor design. It just didn't. It just couldn't maneuver itself. It just overpowered itself with its own momentum and eventually fell into the pit.
yeah, they didn't really have a lot of control in that fight.
No control, absolutely
No,
none.
they kind of like slinked off to the side and then kind of
just slinked everywhere until they eventually slinked into the hit.
slithered
pit.
down
Yeah.
to the depths of the pit by themselves, really, didn't they?
Pretty
No one,
much, yeah.
they did that themselves. Beast managed to try and get at least a few flips on Gabriel,
Mhm.
but because of Gabriel's design,
Yeah, it's
it just went straight over Beast.
I
Yeah.
found out 90 centimeters each tire.
They're big.
Huge.
Yeah. Jonathan Pierce said
Huge.
that it's like the size of a washing machine or something.
yeah.
Yeah,
Diameter
this
of
was
a washing machine.
this is a big robot, like Gabriel was.
It makes it so ungainly to hit because no
Where,
one...
where do you hit?
Yeah,
That's the
no,
problem.
You
no
can't
one
hit
is building a
anything.
robot to hit 90 centimeters above it.
No.
No one. Because
No.
why would you? Like,
Well,
everyone has
exactly.
a small box on the ground.
Gabriel got in some good hits on Beast.
Yeah.
Beast weren't really that controlled.
They weren't, no. And, like, once... Like, the big disadvantage to Gabriel's design is because it is effectively an axe robot. It has a very directional weapon, so it's very easy for them to miss unless they have good maneuverability, which
It
is
really-
not super reliable. So that's their big downside to that robot's design. But once they got on like one good whack in on Beast, it must have dislodged something
Yeah,
because
they
started
were
to like they
Folding,
seemed,
weren't
yeah.
they?
yeah, they seemed to be down to just one wheel, and at that point they could just wail on them and wail
Kept
on
on
them.
going.
Yeah,
You know, that was a very effective weapon. Very effective design of Gabriel as well.
it was a very well designed robot. Like, I have to give them credit. Like, that was
I
they
still,
had a game plan, they stuck to it, and it worked really well.
I still would have liked to see the hammer.
The
Uh,
sledgehammer.
They never brought that out.
See, I feel like the hammer's kind of redundant because, as I said, like, it's medieval tech. Like, you have a thin, like, surface area to apply your force, which applies more damage. And by having it blunted, instead of getting stuck in the robot, you direct the force
Yeah.
into the innards of the robot. So that scimitar weapon was beautifully designed. Like, scimitars are designed for that kind of purpose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, had Dead Metal not slammed against Crazy Coop 88
oh yeah.
initially, that knocked Crazy Coop out. That was a big hit from Dead Metal.
Yeah, that was
Oh,
And-
massive hit.
You
just
know,
grabbed onto them and just shoved them.
and that knocked them out. So
Yeah.
Beast kind of went through on a whim there.
To
Yeah.
be fair, it's Crazy Coop's fault for going near dead metal.
Well, I suppose.
Go
Yeah.
near dead
Yeah,
metal.
it's kind of the story of this episode, really. A lot of people going through by happenstance
Yeah, by-
more than actual
Like very.
effort.
Yeah.
Mm.
So yeah, that was our melees out of the way and done.
Mhm.
Then we went on to the head-to-heads. The first of which was Chompalot versus Gabriel. Now, Chompalot had received a lot of damage in their first
A
fight.
lot.
Huge
A
amounts.
massive amount.
Big
Mad.
repair job.
It's basically a bin bag job.
It almost was.
Mm.
But with the help of the other teams, the camaraderie in the pits from...
Yeah, I really like that. The massive
From-
camaraderie between them.
Almost
That's
all
really good.
of the teams. from
They-
the looks of it.
That's because
Yeah.
they saw it come in.
Yeah.
They somehow managed to get Chompalot working and back into the arena. How they did it? Magic.
Not a clue.
Duct
Then
tape
again, with
and
all those
duct-
people doing it 2 hours, they,
Duct tape and soup.
you know,
Yeah.
Some kind of wizard
Duct
science.
2 hours to get that robot fixed, and they somehow did it.
yeah, I know, it's
And
crazy.
Gabriel got that first big hit on, with its again with its scimitar, swordy sort of weapon, and Chompalot went straight into the CPZ of Shunt. No, it was Dead Metal.
It was, yeah.
Yeah.
No.
And
What
Dead Metal
did we
got.
say before? Do not go near
don't
Dead
go near Dead Metal. Dead Metal
My-
is
my
on
favourite,
point
my
this
favourite
series.
Yeah, Dead Metal is
awesome.
easily like the most damaging house robot there has
Him
been
and
so
Shunt.
far. Shunt's
I
done a
think.
bit, but
His
like,
his weapon's very precise, but once
this
like,
is the problem. This is the problem with
I
axe
think
robots.
Matilda's
Very
line
precise.
with-
You miss a lot. Like
that's why
Yeah.
that's why like Dead Metal is my favourite because it can just as soon as you've grabbed, that's
Yep.
it. You can,
Yep.
done.
Exactly. Put his sword
Yeah.
down.
a Dead Metal is the epitome of a robot with a game plan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it just still wants to do one thing.
Dead Metal's original, its what was it? Its best feature is its weapon synergy. The way how it can clamp
It's
hold of a
such
robot
a
and
good
use
design. Like
Oh, yeah.
just
Metal is
just
a
so simple.
beautiful
Like
robot.
quick, like
Hold them in
quick-ish
place.
pincers that
Yeah.
just like keep you here, and then the circular sword just methodically coming down into your robot. Just
Just inch by inch,
so
deeper and
smooth,
deeper.
the way how
It's
it comes down.
beautiful and terrifying. Oh, like I
The look
love
as
the
well.
design.
It does.
Oh, yeah.
It
Looks
amazing.
absolutely
Dead
bad.
Metal.
It's really good.
looks like a massive pile of scrap, but it's all just so perfectly aligned.
Scrap.
And all,
Organised
all-
chaos.
all horizontal, all mirrored and everything. And
It was originally supposed to be painted pink.
oh, lovely!
Like in original
I would love
series of
that.
Robot Wars, first series was going to be painted pink to be
Glad
more
they changed it.
Scorpion-like, but
How's that more scorpion-like?
It's
A lot of
Scorpion,
scorpions
yeah.
are pink.
I never actually knew that.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
like a lot of desert
Red
dwelling
or
scorpions
red
are like
pinky
pink.
sort of-
Yeah.
Like Dusty.
I guess the reason they probably made it black is to make it more intimidating.
make
I'm
it look
guessing.
more menacing.
Mind you,
but-
I've only really seen scorpions in movies.
But at the same time, though, or in Mortal Kombat, get over here. Or what they could do.
Different
I
scorpions.
was
Yeah,
about to say.
Well, what they could do maybe is like if they did have it in pink, it'd be pretty cool to be beaten up by a pink robot. It's like, haha, you got your ass kicked, beaten by a pink robot.
Hey,
Enjoy.
Matilda has a pink flywheel.
Yeah. So
Which
yeah,
was cool as well.
Chompalot managed to get away from the CPZ,
Just about.
just about,
limping out of there,
bit controlled.
and then
Gabriel did
just
manage to get a good few
starts wailing
whacks,
on it. Yeah.
whacks on the top, and the damage was being done by
And,
the.
and underneath as well, when it was on its back, you could hear like Gretel was
That-
hitting it
that-
low
yeah,
as well.
that
that
was-
was the thing that really killed it. Was
Yeah.
the arena flipper.
The arena floor flipper,
That's skidding
Top,
it across
like-
the entire floor. Just,
Yeah.
Pretty much.
that was like, very, very good marks on whoever operated that flipper because that robot flew
What?
and the
Oh,
way
yeah.
how it
Did it-
slid
they were on
along the
point.
floor.
It wasn't just me, but did it just go straight to the flipper?
Yeah, it kind of drove over there.
Yeah,
They're
like-
thinking
like-
escape and
Yeah, I mean, they kind of Gabriel nudged them a bit towards it.
It was
but-
just like when I was watching,
they
it was just
kind
like they just blatantly glided
Yeah, they-
towards it, and I was like,
Yeah, it
what
seems
are
like
you
a bit of a
doing?
driver oversight,
Yeah.
really, forgetting that was
How
there.
does the flipper actually work? Because a lot of the times
I
they
think
could
it's
drive,
like-
drive over it.
Yeah,
Sometimes it doesn't go, but other times it does. Is it like controlled by
It's some-
someone?
some-
or
yeah,
is it-
someone
Yeah.
is like on.
Someone's on the button.
on the
Ah,
button,
okay.
basically.
Yeah.
There's some guy with a telescope and is right up at the top of the roof, and he's like, "Yes, got ya!"
Jeffrey operates the flipper.
Yeah.
Operating the
Press
flipper.
button.
Or I can imagine that as like a knight with a lever, just like, "Blind the lever!"
Chompalot certainly earned its wings there, didn't it?
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
slid
Yeah.
over to Shunt, who got his axe in, and then Chompalot started to smoke.
The fire.
And then
Oh,
the
I love
fire.
it. That's
But
why
it
you
didn't,
need.
it didn't catch fire until they were talking to...
Gabriel won that fight, and then Angela Scanlon was talking to them in the control rooms, in the control booths, and
And she turned around and she's like, "Oh no, it's on fire!"
because of the nature of these fights, it's more of endurance now rather than straight knockout. Chompalot would have had to have done an even bigger repair job, and they're saying it's going to take a lot of work to repair.
Did they
And then Chompalot basically engulfed itself
Just
in flames.
Immolated
Did they
itself,
did
like-
they say how it caught on fire?
Well,
It
it's the nature of lithium batteries,
It's
really.
the
like-
lithium polymer batteries.
Oh,
They
right.
create big fires.
I just wasn't too sure if it was the battery or something else.
It
like-
must have been the batteries.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
the
there's
batteries,
like a lithium battery is designed to almost like self-sustain itself with fuel, and the problem is when you introduce fire and failure to the mix,
Yeah.
like it just
You've got
keeps
you've got the
going
constant
until
fuel,
you
you've got
pull out the
heat,
fire.
Yeah.
Like
That's why you need a ref bot, so he can just quickly come over there and spray him with his little fire extinguisher so he feels like he's doing something. I miss ref bot.
But yeah, Chompalot was toast, literally.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
went up in flames.
It was a dragon that couldn't breathe fire very well.
Well, no, it breathed fire out of its underside,
out of its body.
out of its
Yeah.
entirety, and smoke filled that arena, and they had to get the fire extinguishers out to put it out,
And then bring the robot outside.
take it outside
And
to keep on
still with the
extinguishing
fire
it.
extinguishers.
And the
There was tears.
Team Chompalot knew that they could not repair that. That was
that was
that was
the
completely
writing was really
destroyed.
on the ball at that
their
point.
game over, which meant that the judges had to decide who would be going into their head-to-heads, because Chompalot obviously can't fight, not in a fit state.
Mhm.
And so, because of the performance of Pulsar in the previous four,
I loved it.
Or-
I love how the judges came back.
they came back to the team and said,
Go back.
"We've given you the opportunity to fight again because Chompalot can't." And Pulsar were somehow back in the running.
Yeah, you
It's
say due to Pulsar's efforts. It seemed almost
Pulsar.
more like it was more due to Thermidor's inefforts.
I suppose, yeah.
I wonder how they do they get told, because obviously it's 2 hour wait. Like, surprised the team itself wouldn't have left.
It
They
looked like they were
hours.
packing up.
It's
like,
because what they do is within your 2 hours, there's another fight going on.
Yeah.
No,
So-
no, I mean, like, how would Pulsar would have stayed there, because obviously they went out, so they thought, oh, we're out, so they you would
Especially
have
it
thought
would
they
take
might
more
have
than
gone
2
home.
hours. Like they'd want to fix the robot there and then a little bit. And it would have
Because
taken longer than 2 hours to leave.
I suppose with the nature of Robot Wars,
Wouldn't you want to stay and watch the other robots fight?
That is true as well, but you
Well,
know.
they caught on fire for God's sake.
but with the nature of Robot Wars, like anything could go wrong, and like Chompalot did go up in flames, and so a replacement needed to be called in.
It didn't.
And I was happy that Pulsar went through, because I felt in that battle, I felt it should have gone through anyway. I felt between the two of the robots, I felt it was the better robot. So the
Against
fact it did
Ironside,
go,
and well, yeah, I mean Chompalot did receive a lot of damage, but Pulsar weren't moving
it was,
anyway.
yeah, it was a spud. It was
was-
a
it
spud
was
of
a
a really
spud.
impressive weapon. Like, you can attach an AK-47 to a potato, but it's still a potato.
Yeah, exactly.
but it's a potato with a gun.
Can we enter a potato with
With a
a-
submachine
with
gun.
an AK-47 like gaffer taped to it?
Yeah, I don't know how the potato operates the AK though.
That's not the problem, though.
We'll just,
People will be scared.
yeah,
That is true. I would be
I was just about to say,
intimidated.
like,
Yeah.
if a robot with anything with an AK-47, you'd still be scared.
Yeah, but because Pulsar had been put through, it also meant that they didn't have as much chance to. They were technically lacking a fight.
Yeah, they inherited Chompalot's loss.
Exactly.
Effectively.
So, they were back in, but they had a lot of work to do.
Yeah, they had a massive uphill climb if they wanted to get through.
which I find quite interesting actually, because then it makes them like naturally the underdogs, like he's the team
Yeah,
that
I
has to
suppose.
try to get through. They've been given this disadvantage, and it's like that people who are watching it, like we were like, come on, Pulsar, win now, because we realised that actually they are at a disadvantage, which adds more to the episode. I
I
thought
Exactly.
as
just
well.
wanted them to win anyway. I didn't care.
You did. Next fight was Beast versus Ironside. Flipper versus Spinner. Classic
Matchup. Except, oh wait, look at all this exposed machinery.
Yeah, exposed machinery in Beast. It didn't really come off quite well after a certain attack from Ironside on
Right
what
on
was
the-
it? That
oh,
exposed
was
wheel.
it an exposed wheel?
It was an exposed wheel. You're
My
right.
word! An exposed wheel ended up failing. No, come on.
Against the
I
Spinner.
love exposed wheels. They're just
I
the
love
most
'em.
effective system.
It's the best way.
Ever.
There's no alternatives.
But Ironside got in some good hits. To be fair, without counting the exposed wheel attack, Beast did kind of take the blows.
Yeah, it
not,
put
not,
up a good
not,
fight.
not a lot of damage there.
Yeah, I mean,
But-
if those wheels weren't as exposed, like this would have been a much tougher fight for Ironside.
But I do think that because in the previous fight with Gabriel, Beast weren't very controlled. They were lacking a bit towards the end.
Yeah.
A good hard knock on Beast kind of put them sitting ducks, really.
Yep. That was it.
They didn't get a flip.
They didn't do anything.
No, they didn't really.
It was disappointing, you might say.
You could say their plan was exposed.
It's exposed as their innards. I mean, Ironside looked like they had a few control issues as well. They kept stopping.
Yeah,
and...
their spinner looked like it was chugging for a bit there and not quite rotating up to speed.
Well, didn't they? They had like an enhanced sound on it. It sounded like a chain was like dragging.
Yeah,
or something.
they'd lost a bit of momentum, and then they kind of managed to like kickstart it by ramming it into Beast.
Yeah. But Beast was immobilised long before.
Yeah, it wasn't much of a fight.
No, so yeah, easy win for Ironside 3, but
Very easy win.
didn't really do much. Didn't see much action,
No.
but as we say, a win is a win. They got through.
A win is a win is a win.
Exactly. Next one, Gabriel versus Ironside.
Yeah, no, this
So
one was
this one kind of unique.
yeah,
so,
a bit
Yeah.
more interesting. This one, we got to see Gabriel's alternative weapons for the first time. The pickaxe.
the wobbly pickaxe. Shall we say,
that
but-
was the one really questionable thing about this is pickaxe. Fine weapon choice. Pickaxe on the same material as your intentionally wobbly wheels.
It was a good plan in the head. But...
You attach a pickaxe to a even sturdier stick rather than
a toothpick.
or a strand of spaghetti
Yeah,
or whatever.
There's a reason that they don't attach pickaxe heads to bendy straws.
Exactly. And it kind of showed in this one.
Plus,
But
it got stuck.
Got stuck
it
on
did
the
get
fire
stuck
pit.
on the
It
flame
did,
pit.
yeah.
So many times as well.
It
It came
didn't
off
it?
and then it just went back on
So,
again.
so helps a lot. Helpfully,
Oh. Yeah.
Yeah.
him.
So
I wanted it to
Killalot,
snap.
like biggest, most feared house
This is
robot
why I
of them
don't
all,
like Sir Killalot anymore.
helping Gabriel off the flame pit, and
I think the reason why I do
know.
it is because then it can make the robots fight again. Because I guess now
We
I
don't
suppose
have
robots
Redbot
are
anymore
more
to do
with
Well-
are more the robots that are the ones that be like, all right, go back into the ring again. Where
yeah,
they
get
would
back
do-
fighting. This is
it's
what-
more like that. Where it used to be like you destroy them anyway, but now they want to make sure it's more.
But you
like a
kind of want
battle.
to see the house
Yeah, I
robots take
wanted-
them apart.
Oh,
I
you do
wanted
as well.
Sir Killalot to get his claw around that axe and
And just
snip straight through it.
This is the thing that I don't like about Sir Killalot anymore. He's literally just a box with tracks. It's like,
He
his
is-
weapons are just so
he's-
ineffective.
Big, but I haven't seen a lot of.
I'm sure they're effective. They're just not used.
Yeah.
They're very precise
But
weapons.
also,
though.
but also
the
you gotta
robot
remember, like,
needs-
the design of the robots probably isn't very helpful towards the design of Sir Killalot.
So every time I see Sir Killalot, the only way he's effective is if there's a robot that's immobilised and he has the time to position.
them up
Yeah,
and-
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
If
Because
they're
they're
moving
moving-
all over the place.
I think
Yeah.
in
Gabriel.
old robot
Replace him with
was-
Sergeant Bash.
I think in old robot was where the arena was different. He had more like free
Play.
reign to
He had
Yeah.
more
Yeah.
presence.
to pick
didn't he?
them up and do things to them. Whereas because it's a smaller arena, isn't it?
I don't
Or
know
it's,
if it
it's
is.
different.
It's a
but
different.
It's because the robots are bigger.
it's
Yeah,
not,
that and also the different
it's
designs
not quite
compared
the
to them as
same.
well.
It's not quite the
No.
same
I just
Layout.
think like
destruction.
as everyone likes him because he's a very famous robot for Robot Wars. It's like one of the besides from Matilda, it's like one of the first robots you think about. Like
Sir
Robot
Killalot,
Wars, it's like
yeah.
Sir Killalot, the big one.
Whereas
It's-
arguably, I think Matilda has been more aggressive and more
Oh, of
destructive
course.
than
Oh, yeah.
Sir Killalot.
Of course.
in
Maybe-
series.
maybe-
But then at the same
we've
time,
yet
it's
to
got a
see-
more effective weapon than the weapons that Sir Killalot does.
That's
Maybe-
why I just don't like him.
Maybe
anymore.
we get to see Sir Killalot like properly, fully lash out and go.
Yeah, I feel like this version of Sir Killalot is just taking his code of chivalry a lot more seriously than the
exactly.
old one.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I can understand like if they go into attack and they inadvertently help them.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Okay, you've tried to ram them into a grinder on the wall or into the
Yeah.
flame pit, and somehow you've magically started their engine again, and off they go.
But when you're just daintily like grabbing their pickaxe
here
and
you
going,
go,
Yeah,
love.
There you
up
go,
you
son.
go.
Yeah, he was
Yeah,
just-
get back in there. Off
Oh,
you go.
thought-
Carry
it's
on
like, it's like,
fighting.
it's like a child.
Play
You've seen
nicely.
a child fall over. And, oh, sorry, here you go.
Yeah.
But we also got to see how well Gabriel could accept the blows from a powerful weapon
Oh, yeah.
like Ironside. Like we said, their armour was their wheels. And
Yeah. I
They're-
mean, just all of these massive kinetic spinning attacks just bouncing off of the rubbery plastic, just going like, oh, well, I'm just going to wobble my way out of the way of this.
It was
Yep.
No, Ironside was basically like a toddler trying to slap jelly. Like,
Exactly, and you could see the
I love that
entire.
expression. You're so good at expressions. Like, that's why I like you in this. A toddler hitting jelly.
Just
was,
trying
you-
to slap the jelly, and jelly's like, oh, okay, cool, I'm still here. I'm shaking a bit, but I'm alright.
Oh, I'm so scared.
Gabriel was a very slippery character. Sir Killalot couldn't get a grip of him really.
No.
No, not at
Ironside
all.
couldn't get a good hit in. It just flexed and flopped and kind of dealt with the
Well,
blows
no,
really
Sir
well.
Killalot did get a grip on him. However,
Yeah, we
It was
wasn't-
being,
yeah.
here you go, dearie.
So I believe Ironside won that one on a judge's decision.
yeah,
On account of the damage that it did do, and the lack of damage done from Gabriel's
Gabriel,
part.
yeah.
Yeah. I feel like the change to the pickaxe was a bad move.
It was a bad move.
Well intentioned with trying to jam the spinner a bit, but
I mean,
No.
they said it themselves. They put the pickaxe on because they know the top of Ironside wasn't as well armoured
yeah.
as the rest of it, and
But
they
you
just-
had to actually hit.
yeah, you
the
had
top
to
of it.
actually hit.
And that
Yeah.
flexible
yeah,
shaft that they were using
Was
just was.
The next one was Pulsar versus Beast. So Pulsar being put into the head-to-heads after Jumpalot going out in a ball of flame. This meant that this was their first fight, and against, like we say, a formidable flipper. That hasn't been particularly formidable.
No.
No, not at all.
No. Pulsar got in a good solid hit and launched Beast, and they went straight under. I think you said this, Adam.
Oh yeah, yeah.
they,
One of the first major hits they did. It was they flipped him and it went straight under him.
they did, and
Yeah.
got a good attack in on that like weak underside of Beast. Kind of every part of Beast was weak.
Weirdly, the underside actually did look
Was
like
more
it had,
armoured.
It did
Yeah.
actually look like it had a thin
I
plate
suppose
on
it
it.
did.
So it is actually more armoured, if anything. So, like, the irony of that is just like...
Maybe they borrowed it off the people who built their robot in the shed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it stopped them from being taken out instantly
Exactly.
by that assault.
Yeah.
With that good hit and a few more hits, again Beast
They got down to one wheel again.
down to one wheel.
The way
Lost
you said that
control.
again.
Very unreliable so far, Beast.
Mm.
And as was Pulsar, because it also had a lot of drive
drive
troubles
issues.
again during this.
Bit
Right.
twitchy.
It
Yeah.
was twitchy. and
It always seemed like it would just have like one wheel that was receiving the transmission and was going like, "Yeah, no, you're not joining me, buddy. Like, come on, help me out here."
Another hard one to call, but as soon as Beast was immobilised, then
That like,
Pulsar,
yeah,
we're starting to claw it back.
yeah.
even-
I feel like it was a little bit debatable how the judges awarded the knockout, even though like it went to a judge's decision. I guess maybe in the edit, like we didn't get to see
Yeah, it
those
was
exact
probably
10
lost,
seconds.
but
Yeah,
It was
so
a very quick 10 seconds.
it would have been a quick 10 seconds. But they said that because
Did they
of-
count to Mississippi?
yeah, but because Beast lost quite a lot of their drive, they weren't in control, and Pulsar kind of was, even though it was intermittent. And then Beast kind of got awarded the loss, like received the loss, should I say?
Awarded. We present you
Paul, yeah,
your
yeah,
loss.
yeah, you lose.
no, and here you are, your award for last place.
Congratulations.
And yeah, well, Beast
Even
were in last
participant
place.
is better.
Yeah.
Beast were in last place.
They
They didn't
certainly were.
score any points.
They
Yeah,
didn't.
they
No.
did.
They were given the wooden spoon.
The wooden spoon, exactly.
The MDF spoon.
The MDF spoon. Overdoser. Next fight was Beast versus Gabriel.
Yeah,
So-
and again, we got to see Beast doing not a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, again,
Well, at the start it was okay. That was
because of Gabriel's stature, again, Beast could just sail straight under.
Yeah.
his flipper was just nothing.
Well, even
just-
at full extension, it
it
just
just didn't
couldn't
hit him,
reach him.
They did try a few attacks.
Yeah.
and the
Try.
flipper was working this time.
Yeah.
You're doing the same expression they did. It was like, at least it was working.
Yeah, like it's working. Look, it does work. I'm
Yeah.
Honest.
Like the best they could do was try and get under a wheel and flip them that way and
Yeah.
try and cause some
Try and do
concussive
more
damage.
internal damage.
But the problem is those wheels are just so springy.
Those wheels,
The-
yeah.
Like when you do flip them over, the wheels just kind of bend and bounce and nothing really
And
happens.
it goes back and tootles off in the in another direction.
Yeah, it's like trying to hurt a slinky by throwing it down the stairs.
Exactly.
Like, that's what it's designed to do.
Again, Beast, no control, no drive again. Gabriel came down with their newly put back on scimitar, swordy weapon,
Good.
and getting in blow after blow after blow.
Yep.
Probably
Yeah.
knocked out something internal.
Again,
and
they lost a wheel, so they were just kind of going, no.
Again, and you know, there was like talk in the control room of like, do you want me to hit your
Yeah,
robot?
I
or
love
anything?
that. I was like,
Yeah.
are you guys stuck? Yeah. Do you
Like,
want us
yeah,
to hit
yeah.
you, see if it works again?
So they're trying to hit them to like bring life back into Beast.
Yeah,
we
I
wanna
thought it was quite
fight.
funny because you can see the back of the robot, like the lights, sometimes like flicker back on at certain
I think that was meant
points.
to.
A good way to determine if a robot is live, if there's electricity
If the-
flow,
yeah, if the
if
lights
it's
are
got
working.
LEDs.
I just thought
Yeah.
I just thought it was a show. Flashing.
And I think they are like kind of one and
Yeah,
one.
but a bit of both, like maybe
both.
like for show, but also to show the
Yeah.
That the
people,
robot is still
the
moving.
drivers to make sure it's still moving and stuff.
Yeah, and so like Gabriel tried to get in them few hits to bring Beast back to life, but Beast was still kind of mobile. Gabriel needed the win.
Yeah, they needed a knockout win to guarantee their place in the in the final, and they just stood back and were like, no, he's had enough. And it's just like they really lacked that killer instinct
Yeah,
that they
they-
needed.
Yeah,
They
it's-
showed
it's-
up-
As soon as they were immobile, they were just like, oh, we'll just wait here for you
But
to
they
get
weren't even
counted down.
immobile. Like they were still moving.
Yeah.
They were still mobile.
It was
They
like,
weren't-
you can finish them off.
Yeah. No, what they should have done is just parked right next to it and just whack,
Yeah.
whack,
Yeah.
whack.
Get it in that
whack.
one position. Get it in.
Whack
right
it
on that
until it
position.
really stops moving.
Until it sets on fire again.
But Gabriel seemed kind of they were a bit too merciful.
Yeah.
Yeah. They were a soft
It's,
touch.
it's just their sportsmanship, isn't
well, I
it?
suppose it is.
It is
You know,
nice-
like
it
the
is
gentleman's
nice of
agreement
them.
because maybe they were like, see how well the robot does afterwards, and because they don't want to destroy the robot anymore because it's already dead. It's like, what's the point of then
It's
attacking it
kind
more?
of the
bec-
razor.
Yeah.
yeah,
the
because
gentleman's agreement.
Yeah.
We're not going to carry on destroying your robot if you can't fight for yourself. However, Deb Metal then came in after the fight.
Oh, I gave him a
and
little kiss. It was-
plunged his saw straight through.
He was like, if you're not going to
Beast's
finish
throat.
him,
Yeah,
I
if you're
will.
not-
yeah,
I'll do the job for you.
Dead Metal, a robot after my own heart.
Exactly. And yeah, the sparks flew on that. Good. And it went to a judge's decision.
Which was annoying.
And no, it was originally going to go to a judge's decision, but they deemed that Beast was immobile and gave 3 points to Gabriel.
Oh yeah, because
So they
apparently,
did
get-
apparently it stopped for 10 seconds.
Yes.
yeah. Apparently it will stop with more
This-
than 10 seconds.
This was the recurring theme of this episode. It was just a whole slew of weird decisions that the judges had
It was
to work
fun. You know
out-
what's
work
funny
through.
about it though? Whenever it's like almost a judge's decision, they manage to whip it around so it's not their decision.
Mm.
And it's like, oh no,
It-
apparently it's actually. And it's like, well, just decide.
Just say that you.
It's anonymous anyway.
It was just a very unsatisfying episode
Yeah.
in that respect because there wasn't a lot of decisive like.
This-
oh yeah, this guy just.
Yeah.
dominated.
This is where I
like,
got.
he
This is where
definitely
I got why you didn't like it. The only
Yeah.
thing that I loved about this episode was while the robots caught fire. It was really entertaining. I know it's
That
very.
was
I
entertaining.
know it's very dumbing, but it really amused me.
And also, I also kind of felt like they just added that rule in just for the sake of it. It didn't really feel like they should have
well,
said it at the
mobile 10
beginning.
seconds.
Yeah, it could just feel like, oh, this is
I'd
just
say
an
it's
extra rule
nostalgic.
just brought
I was
in.
about to say, it's
from
been
the
there from-
beginning,
yeah.
but potentially they didn't notice while.
The only,
I mean,
the only
because-
difference is in the first one you had to wait for the ref bot to come over to the robot and count down.
No, what I mean is like in this one, like I said at the beginning of the show, like these are the rules. This happens. They didn't really mention that rule, so maybe people might not know the show. And
It's
it'd be quite
implied.
new. It's like
Yeah, I
people
mean,
might like, oh really?
original
Where'd that come in,
Robot
kind of
Wars,
thing.
because the battles used to be 5 minutes, they needed a ref bot as a way of
Communicate,
counting out a robot. The rule was if it was immobilized for 30 seconds, refbot could come in and count out for the last 10.
30 seconds.
30 seconds,
Yep.
yep. Whereas now the battles are only 3 minutes long, 30 seconds is quite a long time.
Oh, yeah.
That's a sixth of the match.
Mm.
So now
Do you know why they
they've got
cut
to...
it down from 5 to 3 minutes? Is it just for efficiency's sake, or is it just because
Probably.
they thought 3 minutes would be more exciting because in that way they would have to fight,
Well,
guess more quickly and more like precipitately
Less
and more
editing.
Yeah, that kind of thing. Maybe that as well.
Well, plus with like how dangerous robots are now as well, Like
With the-
matches will last shorter amounts.
With
And
the
if you're
speed of
do-
which like blades are spinning now
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
horses.
And
Imagine the ballet from last week.
Exactly.
For
5 minutes.
And with this format as well, where endurance and reliability is heavily emphasized, like those extra 2 minutes over the course of 3 or 4 matches, that's an extra like 10 or so minutes your robot has to be
Yeah.
in fighting condition, which is
Yeah.
a huge amount.
Especially the strain on the batteries, the motors.
Yeah,
the
you
entire
got to
thing.
think that these
And-
robots don't operate for
Long.
5 minutes at a, at a pop. Then it comes under almost like BattleBots is 3 minutes long. Their fights are, and the Fighting Robot Association, who are the big players of the championships outside of Robot Wars. Their official rules state that the match must be 3 minutes long, and again the rules of being immobilized and all that. So a lot of the FRA rules correspond over to Robot Wars, because the FRA have been operating robot combat for donkey's years outside of whatever's being televised.
So it's almost like standardizing it.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
are the legitimate standardized rule. Maybe slightly changed it with the addition of these spinners now. The next fight was Pulsar versus Ironside.
Yeah.
So
Oh, that was a good
Clash of the Spinners.
again, like we saw them in the first fight, Ironside completely destroyed Pulsar's wheel and knocked them almost immobile.
Yep. Because
So could Ironside do it again?
well, thankfully, after their initial mistake in that 4-way melee, like Pulsar realized, oh yeah, our back isn't that strong. So reversing into the really lethal spinner, probably not a good
That's the
idea. So instead, we'll go for the old classic spinner gambit of, right, I'm gonna charge straight at you,
Horizontal versus vertical.
and
Yeah.
Whoever hits first
Yeah.
in their range.
yeah, and hey, what happens happens. Like, and if you chicken out, then you're gonna expose a side to me, and that'll be way worse for you.
was on about this, like Ironside 3000 RPM on that spinning bar. It was a blur when that got up to high speed.
Oh yeah.
And the 9000 RPM vertical spinning drum of Pulsar. What happens when them two come together?
Yeah.
Bang.
What
You
happens
get-
when the
And
slower
it-
but heavier thing comes into contact with the lighter but faster thing?
Pulsar came in with that good charge,
Yeah.
and they only needed that one charge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
And
with
they
the
won it.
speed of that
Wow.
drum, they flipped over Ironside
Yep.
onto
And
their...
after that one hit,
After that one single hit, Ironside was on their back, and their
And
Shremek wasn't working.
It malfunctioned. Like it looked like from the replay that it was operational, and they got it to move, but then it didn't flip them over, and it got stuck
Yeah.
upwards.
Yeah.
So they were just dead in the water at that point until
Until Sir
Until the
Helpsalot
worst
came back
thing
in and put them back on their wheel.
yeah,
But
it just daintily picked them up, and they were back on
whether
their
or
back
not
way.
it was intentional,
No,
Yeah, yeah,
that is
yeah.
arguable, but yeah,
like, was Killalot playing, or
it was like
It looked
'cause
like
they
Killalot was
wasn't
playing.
really in the air, like in his area. So he would pick them up, span around, and when he dropped them, Sir Killalot was facing his
Yeah.
corner,
yeah,
which it sort of goes to the argument of was he trying to bring him in more into the corner?
yeah, for another attack.
yeah,
they
Pulsar had
started
drive
fighting
issues
back.
again, like,
M-
and they were
more
down to a
than
wheel.
once.
Yeah.
Like about what was it? 4 times he stopped.
Yeah, it must have been
Yeah.
3 or 4 times.
4
that
times
they-
he stopped for about 5-6 seconds.
Every single fight, he had drive issues. Like,
They focused too much on the weapon, and I know like the whole point of building like their kind of robot was to build it around that weapon, but you still got to focus on other parts.
Yeah.
I actually did read up about this because I was curious, and Ellis, the guy who created and drives Pulsar, he's quite active on the Robot Wars subreddit,
yeah,
and
he
he's posted a couple times about this, and it's a lot to do with the brushless motors he was using, and they are notoriously hard to get right, and very unreliable unless you test them and test them and test them and work out all the kinks. And he hadn't done enough testing, and the kinks were still there.
Maybe this was his inexperience coming through then.
Definitely, like he's I mean, he is a rookie, like, and he's self-taught.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, it's really impressive what he's done,
He's
considering
incredibly
that.
smart.
Very, like,
Yeah, very
really.
smart.
Yeah, it's just like a lack of experience, and I'll be really excited to see what he can do.
Oh yeah, definitely.
In going forwards into the future, because this kid's got a really good career as a fighter, as a robot
as
fighter.
a fighter.
Yeah, well, as a robot fighter.
As a robot.
Specify that, like, there's a massive difference.
Yeah, like there's hardly any faults I can point out with the robot.
I have
The weapon-
I've never seen a robot designed like Pulsar. It's very squat. It is just
very
a
wide
ramp
as well.
Very
Yeah.
wide. It's just a ramp with a spinning barrel
The
basically
thing
on it.
that I noticed was that the take away the driver issue, nothing else failed.
No,
whatsoever.
no.
Yeah,
the
no,
weapon
was
The
cool.
weapon was every time there was a hit, it kept on going. It didn't stop. It didn't stall. It didn't.
It's a very
like,
good point. That.
There was
Yeah.
no. There was
Didn't
no.
really notice
There was also no like. Every time there was a hit on him. No exposed bits. No burst
No
tires.
damage.
Their
No.
armor was durable as heck.
Yeah.
I didn't see any actual like chunks coming off or any parts flying about.
It was a very good, very well designed robot.
Yeah.
Never seen anything like that before.
It looks beautiful as well. Even just from an aesthetic standpoint, like it's gorgeous.
I might have
Like
to.
the black and gold, it's really good looking.
So controversially, Ironside was put back on the wheels,
Mm-hmm.
and they
Again,
came back on the offensive, released the pit, and because Pulsar was having control issues, kind of pushed them both down
Yeah,
in one
they
final swoop. So again, it's like
again goes to a judge's decision, and
But
it's another controversial.
it is another
choice.
controversial one because Ironside was upside down for the 10 seconds.
So they deemed it that it was
So-
a knockout for Pulsar.
It was a knockout. They were
Um,
immobilised in the eyes of the judges because their stream mech didn't work, and they.
I feel like the judges really need to outline like a much hardline stance on, hey, if at any point your robot is immobile for 10 seconds, we're awarding the knockout.
Yeah.
Like just make that a hard rule.
Yeah.
Because at the moment there's this
Even if we don't notice it.
exactly
At the time.
exactly
With-
because there's
with-
this weird wishy-washy element right now that's it's not fun to watch.
No.
And I can't imagine as a competitor it's
You
very
know,
satisfying.
You've got to be thinking like the teams from their perspective, looking out onto the arena. Like how would you feel if like you thought your robot was not immobilized and you carried on fighting, and say Ironside pushed Pulsar down the pit, but Ironside managed to get away,
Yeah.
and they thought that they got the one,
But
only
then-
to be
but only then to be overturned by the judges say,
Say-
tough, you were out.
you
for
were
10
immobilized
seconds.
for 10 seconds. Where's the
Like there really needs to be a more solid system for it because
it's Adam's point all over. We need the ref bot or some sort of way of counting down. They do have in the featherweight Robo Challenge Championships a siren that goes off when a robot is immobilized for 10 seconds.
Yeah.
So
So
what
that
you're
is
saying
you need
is-
a cue to
Yeah,
able
to then
to-
people to know it's been immobilised for 10 seconds.
So what you're saying is that we need the Mysterons to come
Yes.
officiate.
is the voice of the Mysterons.
You have been immobilized, Captain Scarlet.
But yeah, they do. In these Robo Challenge Championships, they say robot eliminated, and that's it.
That's it, you're
That's
done.
it. Robot is
Yeah.
eliminated.
Yeah, it's,
And a little siren that goes off to say
Yeah.
this robot's
like that's
been-
that's what needs to happen.
Ironside was granted the loss from that because of their immobilization, and Pulsar, the plucky robot that went out in the first fight but came back in the head-to-heads,
The little robot that could.
was starting to climb the ranks almost, and that put it into the head-to-head final against Gabriel.
It did.
And I thought this was an interesting battle. It was little versus large. Because
David against Goliath kind of thing, wasn't it?
Exactly, David against Goliath. Gabriel, this huge hulking white Segway against this very
Sword-wielding
I'm
Segway.
glad someone came up with that. I was waiting for some kind of pun for him.
against this very little nippy
Drum
high-powered drum spinner wedge thing.
Like
I
which is
love
great.
this fight because I was on the edge of my seat with this one because I wanted Pulsar to go all the way, and after they're being knocked out, I kind of thought, oh, which one shall I root for next? Oh, Gabriel seems to be doing quite well, and now they're face head to head in the final. So it's a bit hard to call which one I wanted to be favourite on this.
It's like this fight. I was really, really hoping finally, like maybe Pulsar have gotten their drive faults out of the way. Maybe they've gotten it. And at the start, like you see him nipping about, and it looks great. Like good control, good maneuverability. He's darting in and under Gabriel, just like taking pot shots at the wheels, and then like in the second half of the fight, starts stopping and starting again. And it's just
again
like
that reliability issue, that control issue.
Oh, it was so disappointing. I was so gutted that like it was just stopping and starting again because I just really wanted this robot to perform. And it just wasn't. It's terrifying.
Gabriel's wheels were again doing what they did all the way through the Ironside fight, and they were absorbing the blows. Yeah, they were shielding, and watching this huge hulking robot flip flop around the arena.
Chunks of those little rubber treads that they
stapled on.
It was really quite
around.
Ingenious, I thought, on Gabriel's part.
Really smart.
Because it meant that there was always a little bit of grip on the
one
wheel.
side,
the wheel.
Yeah.
So it had one of them chunks come
It
off.
was impossible to get a puncher, and even if they got like
Exactly.
if one of the spinning robots did a lot of damage on one of the rubber parts, it would just fall off, and you got
you've got
You've
more.
still got tread.
Yeah,
no, it's
pretty much.
It like Gabriel is one of the best designed robots in this whole episode. Like
the amount of damage that it did not receive.
yeah,
Just
considering the impact and the force of that drum weapon.
all
And
they
the amount of shots they got in, like
all they
it
really
should be
need to do
pulverised.
is
The only disadvantage though is because of the nature of any axe weapon, like especially a blunt weapon like this, where all of the damage isn't that visible. Like
Yeah.
that affects a judge's decision because
they can't see
they
the
can't
damage.
see the
You
damage
immobilise
exactly.
them.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but whereas with Pulsar, it was very obvious the damage. Chunks were
doing
flying
damage.
off of it. The wheels
yeah.
were bending. Like a chunk of the sword was knocked
I mean,
off.
you
like-
saw. I think we saw the proper potential of Pulsar in the later fights against Ironside and against Gabriel, where it was launching these heavy robots
Oh,
into
yeah.
the air.
Oh yeah.
And like I say, Gabriel was flip-flopping all around the arena, no control in it, because, well, this is what happens when you exert 9,000 RPM against a flippy-floppy robot. It just
flippy flops out of the way.
Flippy flops out of the way.
Yeah. No, that's the only big question mark on Pulsar is will it be able to maneuver in the finals?
Will
That's
it be
the
able to
question.
keep going in the finals?
So-
Yeah.
Pulsar did win that fight, like, unanimously,
Easily.
because of the
Aye.
damage that was caused. It did actually manage to get a good chunk out of one of them wheels.
Oh yeah, no,
I-
it was bent. It was
I
fully
was
bent around.
expecting the wheels to completely
Oh, yeah,
shatter in
same.
like a first fight for Gabriel, but no, they
I
were
thought
tenacious.
one
They stood up,
one good hit at one of those rubber parts, and it would just get a crack on the wheel.
and
maybe.
it would have just knocked it off.
Yeah.
But no, very tenacious,
Really
very
strong,
durable,
yeah.
strong.
Just
very
shows
well
how good
designed.
that material was that they chose. It's
It
like,
was.
yeah, very, very
You
durable.
see all
Maybe
these
next
metal
year,
robots.
yeah, and then maybe next
Plastic
year
is-
you might see a lot more plastic robots because they saw how durable.
Exactly.
Hopefully, not
Gabriel's
designed
also
on different
really
kinds of segways.
While it's not so strong against piercing weapons, like a piercing weapon will just pierce right
Yeah,
through
go
it,
through.
no problem. But when it's a concussive force, it just absorbs all
Yeah.
the damage and just bends like, and
Flexes
that's fine.
around it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Flexes around the energy.
Like but since it's not protecting anything, like it being vulnerable to piercing damage doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Defensively, they were like a 10 out of 10, but offensively they just
yeah.
like it's a good
Yeah.
design and it's solid, but it just doesn't have enough impact
Yeah.
behind that well-designed edge.
Not enough beef behind it, is there?
No,
It's
there
not.
isn't. There's not enough
Not
welly
really.
to it. Like it's not like a CO2 or a pneumatic. It's all momentum and gravity. Like, and it's just not strong enough to do visible damage to be
Exactly,
that impressive.
And so, because Pulsar went out in the first round, and
Excuse me, sorry.
Give you a tissue or
you'll
something.
let him.
Yeah, I've got a tissue.
No, I meant for me.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, you just sneezed on my arm.
Ugh.
Just
No,
write-
no,
just,
not
go
from your
downstairs.
just
nose.
rub it on your face.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Shall I carry on or?
Yeah, carry on.
Sorry, Adam.
Yeah. So, Pulsar having gone out in that first fight, they kind of clawed it back. Don't know how they did
they
it, but
scratched and scraped their way almost literally through the fights.
Where do you keep the acid?
There's some bleach by the toilet.
Cool.
I'll do that bit again. Tangent.
You can keep going.
Okay. Don't talk, because we can hear you on the mic. Yeah, so Pulsar managed to claw its way back, even though it went out in that first round.
Yeah.
Don't know how
Yeah.
they did it.
Inch by inch almost, and they managed to pull it back right through to the final.
Right through to the
Yeah.
final, which means that they are the final grand finalists.
Or
They-
are they?
Well, I mean, all right then, of the main fights, let's say.
Yeah.
I like
okay.
the fact with them winning it and like what they went through. It shows they are the ultimate underdog. It's like they went out, got another chance, and it's just like, and when they won, it's like, yes, finally someone had another chance. Was really, really good.
So all that we've got left is the wild card to choose, which I assume they'll choose at the beginning of the episode next week.
Who do you think
So-
it will
so-
be?
yeah.
Who do
So-
we think it will be?
Do we want to do a round table of who we all think it's going to be?
Well,
Yeah,
who have
that's
we
a good
got?
idea.
The options.
The options are
Thor.
Thor, very good. Behemoth, who went out to Carbide. Storm 2, Dan Tomkier, and Gabriel now.
I reckon Thor or Behemoth.
Thor or Behemoth, you say?
That's just
I don't know.
Behemoth is such a. Everyone knows him. Like he was in the old ones. he was
Again,
in this one.
yeah, it's almost like playing for the retro vote
Yeah.
almost.
But I also think Thor because he was just so good.
Every fight that Thor was in was a win.
He was he was designed well for the battles, and especially
Yeah.
when he like changed his front panels as well for design for
Exactly,
flippers.
but Shockwave just got it in the bud at the end, and Shockwave won
Yeah.
that fight. So, yeah, I think Thor as well.
I would say for Thor, just because of results, I would say Thor because it was without winning it. I thought for me it had the best stats. Like every fight it had before the final, it won.
Also, just throwing that one guy,
One guy,
just one
yeah.
guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, one guy built it.
It's
drove it.
impressive for what one guy can do.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, I have to agree with all of you. Like, Thor is by far the most impressive robot that hasn't qualified into being the finals. Like, the design of it is simple, brutal, effective, and it is just clearly like this guy has been piloting this robot forever.
Yeah.
And just knows it inside out, has a very obvious direct
Mm-hmm.
game plan, and executes it really damn well. Like, Shockwave, I'll be honest, I thought they kind of got lucky. Like,
I know, I did as
same.
well,
Yeah,
actually,
I
same.
think they
for
did
such
get
a
lucky.
simple robot.
I think
Like-
Thor
Yeah.
started to show like a bit of fatigue, especially
did.
from them fights. But
but yeah, no, I'm not trying to take anything away from Shockwave, because
no.
it is a really damn good pusher, but damn, like, Thor is just stunningly well designed and well
Exactly.
built.
What about you, Kat?
See, I'm going to be different. I'm going to say either Behemoth for the nostalgia vote, or Gabriel, just because it's so different. I think it would be really interesting to see it in the final.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would like to see, for
We
example,
haven't
like...
seen, I mean, there's Stinger, but Gabriel's even different from Stinger, and it's so different. It'd be interesting to see what it did.
Yeah, like, I'd love to see what Carbide does against Gabriel.
Yeah.
Like, how does that turn out?
Well, exactly. Well, we saw
go
it with
straight
Ironside.
underneath
Yeah. I don't know really. I mean, we had some great robots in there. Again, Gabriel did really well for its unique design. Again, Dan Tomkier, nostalgia vote as well. Very good in original Robot Wars, but don't know. Didn't show their weight in their fights. But
Yeah, didn't really do much.
Storm 2, I'd be disappointed if they got
Oh, God. Yeah,
As
I've
g-
said enough about Storm 2.
as good as Storm 2 claim they are. I don't think they had the brutality that they used to, and I don't think that would be a wise choice, especially
No.
since we've got a similar robot like Shockwave. 4 adds in a lot more to the mix.
Yeah, and he'd be the only, like, they don't have an axe robot in the finals at the moment.
And
Yeah.
Thor was a formidable axe robot in
Hugely
its
powerful axe
fight,
robot.
and you don't see very many axes go through to final. So this
It's
would
not
be
common.
very interesting.
Mm.
So, yeah, I would say if it was us here choosing the wildcard, I'd say Thor.
Yeah.
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 So if we add in Thor to our finalists, into our 5 others, Carbide. How do we think Carbide
I
will
love
do?
Carbide.
Carbide,
Carbide,
like,
arguably my favourite. I think he's just so powerful, so armoured, and yeah.
they may have gone out, they may have got shoved down in the pit in one of their earlier fights, but they came back, they
The
tore
roar.
off the bucket of Behemoth.
Yes.
I've never
Oh,
seen
yeah.
that done
Yes.
before.
I've never seen that. That was terrifying.
The roar.
Exactly, the death hum of
It's like him and Pulsar.
Carbide.
Oh my god.
Yeah,
I
no.
would love to see.
Pulsar. Few driving issues, but if they could get that sorted out,
Then they'd be really formidable.
Yes.
Yeah,
They would be-
totally.
up there with the big American drum spinners, like just as formidable. 9,000 RPM, that is one hell of a
Yeah.
fast weapon.
It's a really big number.
Shockwave, again, the Storm 2 sort of tornado formula, Rambot, very tenacious, very persistent.
They've got a good formula. I feel like they have a real fighting shot of winning this.
They're like one to watch, I think.
Mm.
TR2,
Plucky guys.
again, like really incredible on the live scene.
Mhm.
They have, I didn't mention this last week, but they have won championships outside of
I can
outside
believe
of
it.
Robot Wars.
Because while that robot is not the most pristinely designed or most pristinely built, by gosh, it is beautifully driven.
It was very good. Very,
And the
very
fact
good
it went
flipper.
through its whole episode without even losing a fight
Exactly.
as well makes
One of the,
it
I
really,
think one of the only
really good
robots
as well.
to be able to go through
It really
by
shows.
pure knockout.
Like, it's not even necessarily how well built your robot is. Sometimes just being that damn good at piloting it can...
Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
it's
totally.
a massive equalizer.
Speaking of good piloting, Apollo as well.
Yeah.
Oh
Apollo.
yeah,
I like
Apollo.
the pun.
I like Apollo.
I don't know if these guys are going to be the winners, but damn
They're-
it, I really want them to be.
They're
Yeah,
gonna
me
I
have.
too.
think there will be some house robot revenge.
They-
I hope there will be some house robot revenge.
Apollo.
Because I want to see it.
Apollo didn't start off very well against PP3D. They rose up from
They
the ashes. They
really quickly
Yeah.
learned their lessons.
like I said last time, the evolution of their, you could see it in that episode, how they adapted and changed their game plan.
Oh yeah, totally.
And they threw Storm 2 out of the arena. They flipped Shunt, Matilda, and Dead Metal. This is an incredibly powerful
Yeah.
robot.
I
Yeah.
mean, the only real question mark is how are they going to do against spinners? Like,
And also as well because of the CO2, the amount of power that it uses,
Yeah,
is
I
it going
mean-
to potentially then immobilise itself because obviously doing too many
They
the flips that it could do might, cause it to
They
fail
did-
and stuff, which is one of its main weaknesses.
They did have a few issues with their flipper towards ends of battles. Maybe an issue now, but with all these robots, they've all got their low points, but they've also got their great points. They are
Oh yeah,
like
totally.
they are all evenly matched, and I seriously can't call it. I know who I want to win, and
Apollo, right? It's got to be Apollo.
I kind of want Apollo to win, but
Yeah.
Carbide,
Carbide.
after that, like
Carbide-
Carbide Apollo final will be
For me,
Be the
Carbide or
perfect,
Pulsar.
Pulsar. You want Pulsar to?
It's mainly Carbide, but I'd go for Pulsar.
You wanna-
Yeah,
you want
Carbide or
Pulsar to win.
Pulsar.
Yeah,
It's such an even field.
it is an
It
even
is
field.
really
I-
filled.
It is anyone's game. It sounds cliche, but it really, really is
It's
anyone's
one of
game.
the most annoying cliches ever, but it's
the good
yeah.
cliche.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know which one is the weakling. I don't none of them are.
Oh, I mean, honestly, I feel like the weakest robot in that field right now is frustratingly Pulsar, because there
'Cause
is
of
that
that,
massive
yeah.
question mark over their
I
reliability.
think Carbide had reliability.
Given-
Carbide had different reliability issues. Carbide's reliability issue was it was too strong.
Yes.
Yeah, it was too powerful.
If Pulsar's drive motors can be, if they're durable and they're fine now, like in the finals,
Then it's a completely different ballgame.
I think
Oh, yeah.
Shockwave.
Shockwave.
He just hasn't got the most offensive. He can
No,
push.
yeah.
But it's like when he was against Thor, he was just shielding himself. He had.
But that was tactical.
Sometimes that's
that
what
was,
they
that
need.
was
Yes,
Yeah.
I know. It's just, and like for me,
And the fact that they were smart enough, right, we're going to attach this much more disposable scoop and we're just going to raise it above our heads.
I give it
and
that.
Just, like
I just think, like, with all these incredible robots, I think they're just going to take a lot of blows.
Well, it goes back to my points about TR2. Sometimes it's not about how
It's all
capable
about the
your
pilot.
machine is. It's about how capable your pilots are and how capable their strategies are. And I feel like they're in with a puncher's chance.
Yeah.
It's annoying because like I knew who my favourites were back watching original Robot Wars, and they all have good points. It's difficult.
It's a new day.
It shows the evolution of Robot Wars because they're all as good as each other, and they are all.
They're all incredibly strong competitors.
You know,
And I would
And
be
it
happy
makes
if
it more
any one of
interesting that
them
they are
wins.
that good, because then it makes people feel like actually, you know, it's anyone's ball game. Where if you knew at the beginning, it's like who's going to win. It makes it less interesting. Where by having everyone as good as each other, it makes the final like I want to see who's going to win, and like whoever wins, it's like yeah, they deserve to win it.
Yeah.
What do you guys give the episode out of 5 then?
Oh, this one's a tough one because it's
3, I think. The only
think-
hype for me was the robot on fire. To be perfectly
I'll
honest.
Yeah,
probably
I
say
mean-
give it a 3 as well. Maybe 3.5 at the most, because I like the whole underdog story with Pulsar and the fact that he lost and then came back. I kind of liked that. It gave them a second chance. I thought it was quite an interesting way of doing it.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree. It wasn't as action heavy. I tell you something though, the last fight I thought was incredibly tense because I was rooting for Pulsar in the beginning. They got knocked out, and I thought, oh no, who else is there to root for? And like Gabriel was the standout star because it was just so unique and different. And then Pulsar came back into it, and I'm thinking, oh my, like I've started rooting for Gabriel now. Your time has gone, Pulsar.
It's like having
But then it defeated Ironside in a spectacular way. Controversially, went in Pulsar's favour, and then disposed of Gabriel in a fantastic way as well. So, yeah. But again, you had the boring fights with Beast. Beast didn't really.
Beast was
no.
Yeah,
No points at all they scored.
honestly, like as I've mentioned frequently during this really wasn't my favourite episode at all. Like this was easily the worst episode of the series in my books. This whole episode was kind of a sour point for me. Like it didn't really come alive until the very last fight.
Exactly.
For me. And even then, like I was just so disappointed that Pulsar didn't work properly. Like this whole episode was just really frustrating for me to watch because it was just robot after robot after robot not quite working how I would expect and how I would hope.
Yeah.
And like it was a disappointing episode for me. Still very entertained. Still held my attention for the whole hour. Like still good television, but the
And it
worst out
showed-
of the crop so far. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to the finals though. That is
Yeah,
one
If
thing.
all
Yeah,
these
me too.
robots can perform as they have done in their Heat
Yeah.
finals, or
Yeah, I'm either
Their
hoping
build-ups.
for Pulsar to work flawlessly, or if it's still in this state, it's probably just going to get outclassed and just shoved under the rug very
Yeah.
quickly.
Or into the pit.
But
What about you, Kat? What
yeah,
do you think?
your rating, Cat.
Probably a 3. Like
Yeah, very middling.
it's middling. It's the problems with the judges' decisions not really being judges' decisions,
No.
and
Their decision
So helps
was
a lot.
not to be
Yeah.
their decision.
so
Particularly-
helps a lot. And I mean, I loved Pulsar and I loved Gabriel, and they were probably the highlights. But I don't know, some of it felt a little bit. Even when you thought a robot had won, they might not have won.
Exactly,
kind of thing.
yeah. I mean, it was sad to see Chompalot go out in a ball of flame, and
But it was a bit entertaining.
you know they were plucky, but it was good entertainment.
Yeah, it was
but-
oh
entertaining.
yeah,
It
good
was-
TV.
It did really hit your heart when like you see them at the end and all
In
their efforts gone, but
tears
it was the highlight of the episode.
But that robot was in bits. I was
Yes.
surprised that they managed to get
Yeah,
back into the
definitely.
arena after
Yeah, me
Ironside's attacks. But
That was impressive.
I'll be
enough,
honest, I was sad for them, but at the same time, I felt like I felt like their robot wasn't as good as Pulsar though. So in a sense, even though they went out,
I felt it
And
was
Like high class versus lower
Yeah.
class, like because Pulsar was half of it was built with a 3D printer.
Yeah.
No, that's
Like,
crazy, isn't it? 3D printer.
Some people just don't have that. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, I know, but
And I'd say that because it started with a bit of drama, with Pulsar being knocked out and then coming back in, and ended with a bit of drama, the bit in the middle was the bit that was lacking.
yeah, it had a
And-
good A and C, but not a very good B. I know what you mean.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so, yeah, it was kind of middling, but like Ben says, it held my attention. I still enjoyed it. I was still rooting
it was
for-
still Robot.
it was still
Oh, yeah.
Do you want an update on my robot? So yeah, I drilled the holes into the lid of the takeaway container for chop suey. Got my
Really forking out the funds.
exactly. Yeah, I worked out. I spent £64.65 or something like that
That's not
on the
bad.
entire thing: controller, servos, cables, battery packs, motors. Still waiting for my damn wheel to come from China. They're like the integral part. If I can get the wheels, I can then start building it and seeing how it will shape up. But
Are you going to have it come out to System of a Down?
yes, I'm going to put the lyrics on the side that you told me to.
Awesome.
And
Chop suey. Da, 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 da.
It's John Cena.
I know it is. It was a joke.
And yeah, just waiting for the wheels to come. I took apart one of the servos the other day and rebuilt it because I need to modify them. I need to take one of the notches off one of the gears because it's only a 180 degree servo, so
Right.
it can only
Okay.
go in that 180 degree arc, and take off the notch, and I need to solder in a new set of resistors to the potentiometer. That should allow it to do a full 360 revolution, and they will be wheel
Wheels.
motors. Yeah, for my wheels, so it will move forward and backwards,
And hopefully left and right.
and hopefully left and
No,
right.
let's not get too carried away now.
If I can make it go forwards and backwards, then that's a success.
Well, you should do, Jimmy. You should have like a highlight video then at the background.
Yeah, I'm gonna.
Playing a song
I think I
pretty
should
cool.
do. Yeah.
Have it
Oh.
like destroying stuff
So,
and that sort of thing. Great.
It is actually happening. It's
Sweet.
A
It is
robot
a-
is being made.
It is being
Nice
made.
one,
It's
Jimmy.
weird that we like throughout this. What's this? 6 weeks that we've done this. 7 weeks.
This would be the 6th.
Yeah, 6 weeks that we've been doing this. We went from like brainstorming an idea of building a robot, saying yeah we're gonna call
That's-
it Bubbles and we're gonna put water pistols on, and I'm actually building one.
Yeah, I
it's
know.
really
It's funny that we went from
quite-
like,
quite
having like
surreal.
a joking kind of thing with each other to then building.
Yeah, a lot of like hobbyist robots use Arduino kits where you can program them and add your wheels and motors and turn basically simple PCB board infrared sort of thing, or Bluetooth. It can be controlled by Bluetooth. It works a bit like a Raspberry Pi, but
Yeah,
for
okay.
robotics, essentially. And
That's not what that.
No,
that's
no
not
more.
what-
I know, it was a joke.
And it's kind of like I say the best way to describe it is the Meccano
Of robotics.
of robotics. You get all your bits and you put them together, and it makes moving things.
Makes a robot.
But-
It might shove some things off a table.
It might do.
Yeah.
That's its first opponent will be a tin of beans.
Whoa.
And
Oh.
then we'll move on to some rice pudding.
Yeah. Ooh.
What,
Jesus.
what Heinz
Let's
baked
not get
beans?
too ahead of ourselves.
No, we're not getting into
Tesco
premiums.
value.
Yeah, Tesco value beans to start off with.
Tesco,
and then we'll-
Lidl.
No, Audi. No, is Audi cheaper than Lidl?
Right. So yeah, grand final is the end of Robot Wars Series 2016, Series 8, whatever we want.
Series 1.
Series 1 rebooted. I'm looking forward to the grand final.
I'm really looking
I'm
forward
looking
to it.
forward to it. I'm hoping it's going to be the best episode of the whole
I-
season.
Well,
I-
it has to be. It's the final.
Whatever. Yeah, grand final. 8 o'clock, Sunday, BBC 2, Robot Wars. Also on iPlayer if you miss it.
Yeah.
Also, it's a bank holiday weekend, so you have very little excuse not to watch.
Exactly. Watch Robot Wars.
Unless you're working.
Unless you're working. Which I'm
Watch
not.
it later on.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.
cease.
And now you know, and knowing is half the battle. Robot Wars.